This is the unsolved murder of the two paperboys from Des Moines, Iowa. In the early 1980s, two paperboys from the sleepy Iowa capital played a critical part in the helping shaping the era of missing and abducting children. On September 5, 1982, 12-year-old Johnny Gosch left his house in the suburb of West Des Moines, Iowa, with a canvas delivery bag, red wagon, and his dog, Gretchen, shortly after 5:45 a.m. to deliver Sunday edition of the Des Moines Registry. Around 6 a.m., Johnny arrived at a street corner where a delivery van dropped off bundles of newspaper, and he and another paperboy began to sort and fold them. After giving direction to a passing motorist, the boys separated on their respective routes. Minutes later, though, the boys spotted Johnny just a block away talking to a man, but couldn't tell in the dawn if it was the same man who asked for direction. Because neither Johnny nor his dog appeared distressed, the boy continued his route. An hour and a half later, a customer telephoned Johnny's house wanting to know where his paper was. Concerned, Johnny's father, John Sr., went looking for his son and quickly discovered Johnny's red wagon, still full of paper, abandoned at a corner on his route. Gretchen, meanwhile, had returned home alone. Around 8:30 a.m., Johnny's mother, Noreen, called the police. In 1982, many law enforcement agencies across the U.S. still observe a 24 to 72-hour mandatory waiting period before filing a missing person report, even for a minor, and often treated missing adolescent cases as runaway. Johnny's case was no exception. According to Doreen, in the 2014 documentary Who Took Johnny, officers from the West Des Moines Police Department didn't arrive until some 45 minutes after the Gosch initial call, and during their interview asked if her son had ever ran away before. Eventually, an estimated 30 officers were summoned by that afternoon to help friends and neighbors search for Johnny, but the WDMPD and Department of Criminal Investigation were reluctant to involve the FBI, telling the Gosches, "We do not consider Johnny to be in danger until you prove his life is in danger." The case quickly went cold. A month after Johnny's disappearance, with no leads or suspect, Noreen and John formally launched the Johnny Gosch Foundation to help fund private searches for Johnny and to share child safety information through their In Defense of Children program. In June of 1984, they and other parents of high-profile missing children helped establish the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That same year, the Gosches also authored and lobbied for the Johnny Gosch Bill in Iowa, which mandate immediate police response and involvement when a child was reported missing. Later adopted by 8 additional states, it was signed into Iowa law on July 1st, 1984. Just 43 days later, the Johnny Gosch law would be put to the test. A second boy disappeared. On the morning of August 12, 1984, 13-year-old Eugene Martin left his house in a South Side Des Moines neighborhood around 5 a.m. to deliver Sunday edition of the Des Moines Register. He arrived at his pickup corner around 5:15 a.m., collecting his bundles from the delivery van driver and sat down to start folding them. According to registry stories, several passing witnesses reported seeing Eugene talking to a man in what looked to be a friendly conversation as he filled his delivery bag. 45 minutes later, a woman called Eugene route manager saying she hadn't received her paper yet. Thinking Eugene had overslept, the route manager went to the corner and was surprised to find Eugene's delivery bag with 10 rolled papers inside, but no Eugene. After delivering the paper himself, the manager went to the Martin house to speak with Eugene's father, Don. When Don realized Eugene hadn't returned home, he started searching the neighborhood but found no sign of his son. He called the police around 8:40 a.m. Learning from the Gosch case in WDM, a different jurisdiction, the Des Moines Police Department responded immediately by sending out all points bulletins, setting up roadblocks, canvassing neighborhoods within the hours, and involving the FBI by that afternoon. Officer James Rowley, now retired, was one of the first police officers on the scene. He recalled how a lot of work went into the investigation because his then lieutenant didn't want another West Des Moines deal with a botched investigation. During the height of the Martin investigation, Rowley traveled as far as Mexico and Canada to follow up on tips and estimate he chased down somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 leads, but none was credible. incredible. There never been a solid lead, a bone found, a fragment found, Raleigh tells True Crime. We didn't turn up any evidence. Like Johnny case, Eugene went cold. Authorities were never able to formally connect the two cases. Weeks after Eugene's disappearance, a local Des Moines grocery store started printing reward info with Eugene and Johnny missing pictures on their paper bag. Soon after, a Des Moines milk company, Anderson Erickson Dairy, started printing pictures and short bios of both Eugene and Johnny on the side of their half-gallon milk cartons after an employee and friends of the Martin family suggested it. The following week, another Des Moines dairy company followed suit. From there, the campaign spread to dairy companies in Illinois and California, and by January of 1985, the National Child Safety Council began a nationwide missing children milk carton program featuring hundreds of missing children pictures on milk cartons. Angelina Hartman of the NCMEC stated that the single most productive or helpful element of finding missing kids is publicly sharing a current picture of the child. By the late 80s, though, the milk carton program was phased out when paper cartons were replaced by plastic jugs, and after it proved only marginally successful in helping to locate missing children because of slow photo distribution, it did, however, serve as an important tool to the more effective Amber Alert system, which helped law enforcement agency and media outlet distribute news of children abduction almost immediately. In August 1984, the Goshes traveled to Washington, D.C. to testify before Congress during the hearing on organized child crimes, and in May 1985, they again spoke at Senate subcommittee hearings on missing children issues. In that testimony, Noreen and John notably lobbied for the development of a specially trained task force to deal with cases of missing children. By 1987, the U.S. Department of Justice develop an investigative guide to missing child cases for law enforcement officers locating missing children, which include uniform protocols for initial response and information on how to use the newly formed National Crime Information Center database record entry. Johnny Gosch has been missing for 41 years and Eugene Martin for 39. Both cases are still technically open in the West Des Moines and Des Moines Police Department, and even though neither boy has been legally declared dead, both are presumed dead by authorities. Martin's parents died nearly 2 decades ago, believing their son likely died shortly after his disappearance, but Noreen Gosch still holds on to hope that she'll one day have the answer about her son's fate. While most people outside of Iowa have probably never heard of those two missing kids from a small Midwestern city, they have played critical roles in shaping missing children investigations. They also help open up a conversation around American dinner table that was much needed, and alarming their children and loved ones about stranger danger, and being aware of your surrounding and those who are around you. Having a paper route is a dream of many children in American small town, and it seems as if it was taken away by the disappearance of Eugene and Johnny. These two young boys' disappearance made parents apprehensive and scared of what could be possibly lurking outside when they opened their door and sent their children out. It was an innocent that was robbed from most of American children and their parents. Having your child have a paper route was an entryway in teaching them independence and how to manage their money, a critical lesson in growing into an adult. Instead, these two boys' disappearance reinforced fears in many that nowhere is really safe, even a quiet small town in Des Moines, Iowa. We will likely never know the truth about Eugene Martin or Johnny Gosch, but we are thankful for their short life that they lived and the positivity that came from their demise. Because of these two young men, we have an effective Amber Alert program that help us in a more quicker and efficient way locate missing and abducted children. We thank God for their life, and our prayers still go out to their families and the loss and the pain that they feel because of their disappearance. Until next time on the Meaningful Talk Crime Docs, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later in the comment section.